Duppy man gunned down in Brighton, Portmore. A man was fatally shot in Brighton, Portmore, St. Catherine, yesterday afternoon. It is reported that DeAndre Knight, otherwise called Duppy Man, was attacked by men armed with guns while in his yard. The shooting happened about 2 o'clock along Orchid Close. His attackers fled the scene. The police were called and the scene was processed by investigators. St. Catherine man accused of rape of ex-girlfriend granted $800,000 bail. A 36-year-old St. Catherine man accused of the rape of his ex-girlfriend was granted $800,000 bail with surety in the parish court. The man's attorney, Richard Lynch, argued that the act was consensual and that the report against his client is steeped into malice. Parish Judge Janelle Nelson Gale ordered the accused to keep away from the complainant and to keep the peace. He is to reappear in court on January 14 next year. Allegations are that on November 18, the complainant, who had a relationship with the accused, was sexually assaulted. The man reported the matter to the police and an investigation led to the man being charged with rape. Curfew imposed in Westmoreland. A 48-hour curfew has been imposed in Morris, Bastard Cedar Walk, Pullet Lane, Bullet Tree Lane, and Strawberry Longwood communities in Westmoreland. The curfew will remain in effect until 6 p.m. on Saturday. The boundaries of the curfew are north from the Morris Main Road, running along the imaginary line for about 5.2 kilometers to a dirt road in the Withorn community. East from the dirt road in Withorn community, running along an imaginary line for about 3.22 kilometers into the junction of Galloway and Torrington Main Road. South from the junction of Galloway and Torrington Main Road, running along an imaginary line for about 5.01 kilometers to Hertford intersection. West from Hertford intersection, running along an imaginary line for about 3.61 kilometers to Morris Main Road. During the hours of the curfew, all persons within its boundaries are required to remain within their premises unless otherwise authorized by the gun commander. Merlin Ottey High School students involved in fight, man stabbed. A man was stabbed in Hopewell Square in Hanover on Thursday amid a fight involving 2 students of Merlin Ottey High School. The injured man, who was taken to the Noel Holmes Hospital in Lucy, is the stepfather of one of the students. It is reported that some time ago the 2 schoolboys had a dispute at the school and their parents called in and the matter resolved. On Thursday, both students were in the town square among other people awaiting transportation to school when they got into an argument which became physical. The Hopewell police were called to the scene and the cops quashed the fracas. It was subsequently discovered that the stepfather of one of the students involved in the altercation was suffering from a stab wound. He was assisted to hospital where he was admitted. The police are probing the incident. Inside the Secret Pact. The controversial non-disclosure agreement inked between the state's environmental watchdog and citrus producers Tradewinds Citrus Limited a day before the entity dropped its case against the company for a 2023 oil spill in recovery has insulated the company from any claims of damages or costs in exchange for its pledge to adhere to the environmental best practices. In December last year, National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA hauled Tradewinds before the St. Catherine Parish Court, charging it with breaches of the Wildlife Protection Act for causing a pollutant to enter the recovery earlier that month. The company reportedly swiftly implemented effective measures to prevent environmental damage, including remediation efforts and the cessation of the use of heavy fuel oil in its operations. On October 2nd mediation session this year to discuss an amicable resolution of the court's proceedings resulted in the agreement which bound the parties to keep its existence or the negotiation that preceded it, these content, terms, conditions secret. However, news of the Secret Pact caused widespread disquiet, resulting in the resignation of NEPA chairman Weldon Maldon on Friday morning. The pact between Tradewinds and NEPA's parent body, the Natural Resource Conservation Authority (NRCA), signed in the presence of a justice of the peace and witnessed by an attorney on Tuesday last week, saw Tradewinds Citrus Limited agreeing to take all reasonable steps to maintain and expand its usage of best environmental practices across its operations. It also signed to actively collaborate with NEPA and community groups in environmental monitoring and developing sustainable solutions for the area of the work quarry next to its properties. According to that agreement, based upon the company's commitment to carry out those actions, the NRCA agreed to immediately withdraw the court case or go before the court next date on Wednesday, November 27, the very day the case was dropped. The agreement went further to state that the commitment offered by TWCL was accepted by the NRCA in full and final settlement of the court proceedings, and all claims or entitlements for damages, injunctive relief, declaratory relief, and any other form of legal and equitable remedy which NRCA may claim against TWCL, whether relating directly or indirectly to the subject matter of the court proceedings, including but not limited to any cost and attorney's cost. NRCA hereby releases and discharges TWCL, its insurers, agents, assignees, affiliates, license and/or sublicense arising directly or indirectly to the subject matter of the court proceedings, which NRCA now has or at any time may have, whether such claims are or could be known to be in parties or to be in contemplation at the date of this settlement agreement, which, but for the execution of this settlement agreement, NRCA could or may have against TWCL, their insurers, agents, assignees, licensed and sublicensed, the document said further. In addition to it, said the NRCA agreed and covenanted with TWCL that it could not at any time after take or bring any action or proceedings to make any claim or demand whatsoever against TWCL, its insurers, agents, assignees, affiliates, licensed and sublicensed arising directly or indirectly out of or related to subject matter of the court proceedings. As far as any admission of liability was concerned, the parties said the agreement is not to be construed as an administration of liability and further agree that they would not bring any legal action against each other arising directly or indirectly from the court proceedings. The confidentiality clause, which has raised Hackett, saw the parties agreeing to maintaining in strict confidence the existence of this settlement agreement and/or the negotiation that precedes it, their contents, term, conditions, say that NRCA may make such disclosures to the Director of the Public Prosecutions insofar as is necessary to give effect to the agreement by the NRCA to drop the case. Leaks of the agreement were prohibited by each party agreeing to take every reasonable precaution to prevent disclosure of the third parties, and that there would be no publicity directly or indirectly concerning the settlement agreement. Further, the pact said neither the attorneys nor representatives of either party should reveal any of the terms of the settlement agreement or the negotiations to anyone. It is understood and agreed by the parties that any disclosure made by either or by their agents that is prohibited by this settlement agreement will be a material breach which entitles the non-offending party to sue for damages and any other appropriate relief, including but not limited to injunctive relief and specific performance. The parties further agree to pay their own costs associated with the court proceedings and the settlement agreement. On Friday, Matthew Samuda, Minister with responsibility for waters, environment, climate change, and the blue and green economies, in a statement to the media said the government was not satisfied that the issue was handled at the board level with the required standard of transparency and openness. Samuda, who said Madden offered his resignation following a meeting on Friday morning, sought to reassure Jamaicans of the government's commitment to protect the environment, noting that he understands the valid concerns surrounding the care and protection of recovery, which is a unique and invaluable asset. He also noted what he said were valid expressions of concern regarding the inclusion of a non-disclosure agreement clause in the mediation settlement between NEPA and TWCL, and said he has instructed NEPA to waive its right under the NDA. It is important to note that the government has previously signaled that the NDAs should be used only in very limited circumstances. This situation did not warrant such a clause, and the Natural Resource Conservation Authority (NRCA) has been directed to desist from including NDA clauses in further mediation agreement, Samuda stated. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.